Hello guys, so welcome to my channel again, and welcome to this task, the 0F02C functions and nested loops. Okay, so we're going to be looking at functions, we'll be looking at nested loops, that's loop inside a loop. And I advise that you go to your resources, to understand what header file is, and I will try the best I can to explain this. Header file is main.c, nested loops and all that. Okay, and then also go to the requirements before you start your task. We'll start with the quiz questions, and from there I will try to explain a few concepts, then we'll jump into our task. So the first question says, what is the result of 12 modulus 3? Of course, we already know what the modulus operator is. So the modulus operator simply takes the remainder of any division you have. So if you divide 12 by 3, definitely you're going to be left with 0. There's no remainder, because 12 by 3 is 4. There's no remainder. So that means the modulus of 12 by 3 is 0. What is the result of 12 by 2? So if you divide 12 by 2, the modulus is 0, because modulus only takes the remainder. So if nothing is remaining, then that means it's 0, because 12 by 2 is 6. So your answer is 0. So the percentage sign represents modulus, and modulus only displays or takes care of the remainder of your division. So when you divide any number by any number, the remainder is the modulus. All right. Question 2, which of these loop statements doesn't exist? Of course, there's no each loop, there's no loop do, and there's no for each. We have do while loop, we have the while loop, and then we have the for loop. Now, what is the American Standard Code for information interchange value of 5? So the ASCII stands for American Standard Code for Information Interchange. So what is the value of 5? I will want you to go through the material. Just search online for ASCII timetable for C programming, and you will see it. So, but the answer is 53. What is the ASCII value of A? Okay, I think let's just do a simple program. I already did this, so I'll just show you how this is done so that you can calculate this by yourself if you don't want to use the timetable. All right. So let's just veer into a file. I type ascii.c. All right. Excuse me. So in this file, you can see that we have the header file, which is the hash include stdio.h because of the printf. So we have a main function, and then I declared A. So this is what we are looking for. We're looking for the ASCII value of A. So if I run this code is going to return the ASCII value of A. All right, so let's see. So if I do gcc ascii.c, and I will do a.out. So the value of, okay, so let me check. There's an error in that code. It's actually 65, but there's an error there. Let's check Ubuntu. Yep. So the value of this value of A is, okay, I've seen it. So this is C, because we want to pick the character. So this is C. All right. So GCC again, and then a.out. So you see the value of A is 65. So what happens if I change this to small a? It will give us the value of small a in ASCII. So let's go and just change this to small a. So rather than declaring a big A, we can just say small a here. All right, so let's save and exit and see, run our code and check our code. So the value of small a is 97. So you can check the timetable. All you need to do is just to go online and say ASCII line C timetable, or you can just say timetable and it should display. So I'll just go to images. It should display the timetable for you. But you can also look for it yourself using your C program. So now the value of A, of course, yeah. So the value of small a is 97. All right. The value of capital A is 65. So that is how you can look for the ASCII value. All right. So the big A is 65. What is the result of 89 divided by 7? Is 5, because the remainder is 5. What is the value of 12 divided by 10? Is 2, because the remainder is 2. What is the ASCII value of 0? Is 48. What is the value of J? Is 74. And what is the value of small a? Is 97. We checked that already. What is the ASCII value of hyphen? Is 45. So this is for the quiz questions. Let's move on quickly to our task because of time. So let me just close this. All right. So let's go to our requirements. Our requirement says that you are allowed to use these editors. You compile with these. We need to have a README file. We need to use Betty. You are not allowed to use. You are not allowed to use the standard library. Any use of functions like this is forbidden. So we're not using printf. We're not using puts. You are allowed to use putchar. You don't have to push this. We will use our file. If you do, it won't be taken into account. So we don't have to push this. But even if you do, it won't be taken into account. In the following example, the main.c files are shown as example. You can use them to test your function, but you don't have to push them, okay? The prototype of your functions and the prototype of the function putchar should be included in your header file called main.h. Don't forget to push your header file. Okay, so let's start with creating our directory, nested functions and nested loops. So we'll create a directory, and from there we can do the rest. Let me clear my terminal. So we'll just cd into ALS, low-level engineering programming. Okay, so let's create a directory, mkdir arrow to create a directory. So we'll cd into our directory right now. And here we're going to create a README file. We use the echo command. So echo, I would say this is the README of this project. Okay, followed by the greater than sign and then readme.md. Enter. So the next thing is to create the underscore putchar file. We need to create this file, so we just go and copy this from the GitHub repository. So you don't have to push this. So let's just copy this. This is the name of the file. So vi will paste the name of the file, the underscore putcar.c. So I want to set paste so that it doesn't scatter. So I'm just going to say, so for you to paste so that it maintains the exact way you copy it, so that you don't have white spaces, you're going to tap the escape key, then column space set paste, hit enter and hit I. So now you are pasting and it will maintain the way you copy it without having white spaces that Betty will complain about. Okay, so let's copy this function underscore putcar. We're just going to copy this and paste it here. Okay, so let's save and exit. Okay, so the next thing we need to create is to create the main.h file. So you see they say the prototype of your functions and the prototype of the function putcar should be included in the main.h file. So we need, because we are dealing with functions now, we need to create a main.h file. And this main.h file is where we're going to put all the prototypes of our function that we are going to write. Now we have the prototype of this putcar function, so we're just going to copy it and paste it in the main.h file. But before we do that, there are a few things we need to do. So you can just copy main.h and then vi into main.h. So there are a few things we're going to do. So enter. So here we're going to use this command that says hash if not defined space main underscore h, and I'm going to explain that hash define main underscore h, sorry, and then we'll end our prototype with hash end if. Okay, so this is how to set your header file. Now in your header file, you use this if not defined to make sure that you don't have double inclusion of one prototype in your function, so that your code doesn't run into error. So if you've added a prototype before and you add another prototype, this is going to check that prototype, that function, in order that your code doesn't misbehave. So it will check if it's not defined, then define it. But if it's defined, then leave it. So if it's not defined, it's going to add it. But once it's defined already, then it will stop it from running a second time. It will stop the function from running the second time. So this is how you start your header file. And we're just going to copy and paste the prototype of the putcar function. So this is the prototype of the the function of the putcar, copy of the putcar file, and then we'll go to our Ubuntu and we'll paste this prototype here. And after doing that, the next thing we need to do is to add a semicolon, because this is a prototype. All right, so once you add a semicolon, it becomes a prototype, no longer. So it becomes a prototype, no longer a function. All right, so this is like a prototype of the function. So I'll paste this again, and then with a semicolon. So before I close this, let's go to our question. Now these are the things you need to do. First, you need to create your readme.md file. Secondly, you create your putcar.c file. And then the last thing you do is to create your main.h file that you're going to store in all your header files. So the next thing we'll do now is to go to our question and see if there's a prototype we need to add to that before we close this. So for this, do we have a prototype to copy? Okay, yes, so we have a prototype here to copy. The question 1. So let's just copy this. I'm just going to do this for the first time. So you can just go through all the main files and then you copy the prototype of the font. So this is a prototype for question 2. So just copy all your prototype into the main.h file before you can start working. That's what I do. So these are all your prototypes. So you go to question, does it have a prototype? So anyone that doesn't have a prototype, you can just skip that and move to the next one. There's no prototype there. There's a prototype. No, this is the main function, so there's no prototype there. So any question that involves you copying the prototype, just copy the prototype and paste it in your header file before you can start working so that it doesn't give you errors. Okay, so I will just copy the question 1 prototype, which I've copied, then close our file. So you see that it's a prototype, so it comes with a semicolon. So let's go ahead and save our header file. Okay. Now, the next thing we are going to do is to write our program. All right. We are going to write our program. So we're going to start our task proper because now we are done with the underscore putka, we're done with the main.h file. Then we're going to write our first program. So what I'm going to do is that I will do a video to give us a breakdown of what functions are, how to write your own functions, and how to do nested loops. Okay. So let's go to our task 1. So task 1, let's go to task 1. It says write a program that prints underscore putka followed by a new line. The program should return 0. Okay. So here we're going to write a program that will print this exactly the way it is. And then we're using, we're not using the standard library, so we're not going to use printf. That means we're going to use the underscore putka function to print this because already we've created the underscore putka function. So we're using this to print rather than using the printf function. Okay, so let's see how we can run this program. First, I will just copy the name of the file. And here I will say vi and paste this. Okay. Now because we are not using the standard library and we're using the local library, we're going to use our main.h. So we're going to say #include So because it's local to us, we're going to use the double quote rather than using the greater than and less than sign because it's local. It's in the same file where we have our function. So .h and then we'll close this. Okay, so this is how you can include your header file using the main.h. So instead of using the greater than and less than sign, you use the double quote to include. So the next thing we'll do is to do our Betty documentation. Very important. So we're going to declare the main function, so we will use the main. So main, this is, so I just use this, you can be more descriptive. So the return with capital R and double column. So this program is going to return, I will say it returns 0. Okay, and then we can close our Betty documentation. So here, Betty should be happy with what we've done. So let's go ahead and write our main function. So we're going to be using the main function. We're not writing any other function for this particular task. So int main void, and then like I said before now, we open our curly braces. So everything we're going to write is going to be inside this main function. So we're asked to write a program that will print exactly underscore putka. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say putka because we're using this as our printf, and we'll open this. So for the underscore, which is this, we're going to say underscore like this. Now you know that the putSchar function that we used in our previous tags before now is just putSchar without the underscore. But for this particular one, this is the one that is developed by ALS. So we have an underscore in it. And for us to be able to print in putSchar, you can only print one character at a time in putSchar. So you cannot just print underscore putSchar. So we're going to print the underscore, then print P, then print U, just like that until we print R, okay? So that's what we're trying to do here. So the next thing we'll do, we'll say putSchar again, and then we'll print P. I hope we're getting this already. We'll say putSchar again, and we'll print what? U. We'll say putSchar again, and we'll print, the next one will be T. We'll say putSchar. Remember, the putSchar function can only print one character at a time. That's why we are doing this. So we say putSchar again. So we'll print ish. So putSchar. We'll print A. Hope we are right. Let me see. Then we'll print R. Hope I have the spelling. So let's go. So we've print this, then P, correct? Then U, then T, then C, then H, then A, then R, okay? So that is putSchar. So, and then they say it will return 0. Or let's look at it. There's a new line there. They ask for a new line there, followed by a new line. The program should return 0. Okay. So we'll print a new line here before 0. So I'll just say underscore putSchar. Then the new line and close. This is semicolon. So return 0. All right. So this is what we are asked to do. So let's just save and exit. Now, before we push our code, we need to make sure we compile our code. So we'll copy this, and then we'll do Betty first. So if Betty is happy with us. So let's compile and enter. Okay, there is an error. Oh, let me see. I think that's for, we copied the wrong this thing. This is for question 1. This is of question 1, I guess. No, it's not. Yeah, this is correct. Let me look at this code again. Int declare that's this. Has no type of storage class. Int type default to int declare blah, 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 blah. Okay, let me see again. Okay, let me guess we need to add the main function, the prototype of the main function. So let's VI to our main.h, and let me just add the prototype of the main function here. Int main void, because we use the main function, so let's see if that is a problem. Okay, still giving us errors. Okay, I'm trying to see what this error message is all about. Okay, excuse me. Okay, so I think I've seen what the issue is. So it's from the main.h file. This prototype we added is actually for the main.c, which is for us to help us to check this question1 file when we are done compiling it. So the prototype is actually not there. All right, so we just need to remove that prototype. For this question1, I think this is the prototype. Yes, so this is the prototype we're asked to use. So we can just copy this prototype rather than the other prototype we used. So we have to VI to our header file, which is main.h, and we'll remove this prototype that we added before, this. So that's where the error is. And then we'll paste this prototype. Okay, so now let's try to compile again and see. So you see that it has worked. Now let me just explain this compilation line we use. Now we added a putcar function because this is where the function definition we are using to check this file is. And then this is the name of our file, putcar.c, and we're outputting it to this. So now if we want to check, we're saying that the result of this putcar.c compilation should be inside this file. So we're just going to say /0 putcar. So this is the file we have our result. So enter and see that we have putcar there for us. So let's go ahead and git add, git commit. So I'm just going to use this. And then git push. All right. So let's check our code and see. So if everything is done correctly, the checker should let us know that we are good to go. The checker is taking longer than it should take. Okay, I guess this is network. So provided you've done everything, check your Betty compiled and your program compiled and push, it should work. I'm going to end this now so that it doesn't eat up our time. We'll try it again later. So let's move to the next question. So we just copy the file name. Let me clear my terminal. Okay, so let's see our next question. Our next question says, write a function that prints the alphabet in lowercase followed by a new line. And then we're giving this prototype the void print alphabet. And you can only use a putcar function twice, okay? So let's see how we can write that. The first thing we need to do is to add an header file. And remember, we are using the local header file, so it's #include main.h, which is a local header file. And the next thing we need to do is to do a bit documentation. And we're going to do our documentation based on our functions that we have in our question. So we have the function prototype print alphabet and then return void. So we're going to just do our function prototype is going to be print alphabet. All right. So we're not using the main because we don't have the main function there. So let's do our documentation. So I'll just paste this and say this is the function of the task. Okay, and then we'll do a return. So this should work. Let me just say return 0. And we are done with our better documentation. So like I said, we are not using the main function because there's no main function in this question. We have a different function we are using. So that's why we're using the print alphabet as our main function. All right. So the next thing we need to do is to now write a function that we are using for this. And this is our function. So copy the function apart from the semicolon, and then we just paste our function here. So that is our function. So now we have to open our curly braces and all our code will go here. So the question is that we should write a function that prints the alphabet in lower cases followed by a new line. Now, we're going to write it and they say that we should use the underscore putcar function twice, followed by a new line, and then we should use underscore putcar function twice. So let's see how we can write this program. First, we need to declare a variable we're going to use because we're using loop, obviously, since we are asked to write it, since we're asked to use the underscore putcar function twice, so we'll use a loop. So let's declare a variable. We can just say, since it's A to Z we're printing, let's say we use C. All right, let's say we use C. We can just declare C. No. Yep. So C as a variable, and then we're going to use the for loop. So for C is equal to A and C is less than or equals to Z. All right. Then we just say C plus plus and close. All right. So close. So that is our loop. So it's just going to loop from A. So it's C. If A is less than Z, it will print A. It will come down here. By the time it comes here, C plus plus, that will be A plus, which will be B. It will run again and come and check. Is B less than or greater than or equals to Z? If it's yes, it will print B again. when it gets here, remember A here now, or C here was B, C plus B now, it will be C. It will run again. Is C less than or equals to Z? Yes, it will print. It will come here, it will be D. Is D, so it will run until, by the time this is equals to Z, the loop will break. All right, so that is simply what we have to write there. And then let's bring our curly braces for our for loop. All right, and then inside our curly braces, we will just print, so underscore put car. So we'll just print what? We'll print C, which is the variable we're using for our loop. All right, so that is it. And then the next thing we need to do is to write our new line function, because they say followed by a new line. So put car, new line, semicolon. Okay, so basically this is what we are asked to do. Write a function that will print A to Z. And so we'll just save and exit. So let's do Betty. Space is required. Okay, so let's put a space in line 1. Okay, so we need to put a space here after the function declaration. So let's just put another space here, and let's see if Betty will be happy with us. Before the open parenthesis. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to understand what Betty. I think Betty is complaining about line 12 that we need to have a space. Yes, so that's the space. So that's Betty's style. You must follow Betty's style. All right, that is fine now. So let's go ahead and compile. So we're going to use this to compile. I already explained what this compilation line is. So whenever you see it, you should be able to read the compilation line. So this is the putCar function. Okay, so before that, we need to create a one main.c. So we need to create one main.c before we compile. So if we compile like this, it will not return any result. Let's compile and you will see it will not return any result. So one main.c, not such file in your directory. So we need to create that file. So let's copy the file. So this is the file name, one main.c. So this will help us to check our code locally. That is for us, just for you to check and see that your code is running well. ALS don't require you to push this file to your GitHub repo, but we just use that to make sure that. So I need to set my paste. So let's just copy this file. So this is our one main.h file. We just copy it and we paste it. Okay, so let's save and exit. So let's go ahead and compile our code and see. So our code is compiled correctly. So let's check our code and see. Period / 1 and enter. So you see we have A to Z using the loop function. So let's go ahead and git add git commit. Let me use this as a commit message, and then git push. So let's try the checker one more time and see if the checker is okay now. If not, we'll just continue with our work, and when we are done, we can check everything. You can also check the description of this video. I've pasted all the codes you need for this task in a Google document, so you can just copy that, set, paste, and paste. But I will advise that you don't copy and paste, rather you type it yourself so that you can understand. The more you type it, the more you understand the code. All right. And if you have issues with any of the code, just simply drop a comment and I will be very glad to assist you in any way. So let's go ahead. I think the checker is misbehaving right now because of the timing I am on. I am on 5 a.m. So the checker at this time misbehaves. So let's go ahead and continue with our task.